But one thing, I go back to many preps, I realized there was a time period that I had four tablespoons of healthy fats throughout my day. Because what that did is, if one tablespoon, let's use 150. One tablespoon gave 150. 2 tablespoons gave 300. 3 tablespoons gave 450. 5 tablespoons, 600 calories I could add into my diet. On top of the 4,000 calories that I could eat, that now takes me up to 4,600 calories. And now, when you get to a point, if your body is able to burn through those many calories, now that's the thing I also have to realize. Fat in your diet does not mean fat on your body. That's a misconception. We think that this whole no fat craze, or don't do this, don't do that. No, the fats we're talking about that you want to stay away from are those man-made horrible ones, quote unquote. Those saturated and trans fats, the ones that really tear the body down in excess. But all of them are not inherently bad. That's one other conversation. But that being said, what I learned was that I could actually add in some fat and not gain fat. And when I started adding more fat, all of a sudden I started noticing that I started getting rid of more fat on my body. Which was weird because it's almost like you could be fat deprived. Like we think about nutrient deprived, but then in your fats, these healthy fats, there are nutrients that your body literally cannot make on its own. EFAs, essential fatty acids. That's why we talk here about all these omegas, omega-3, 6, 9s and whatnot. And that's what the push so heavily, because they really are essential. If you don't get it from your diet, your body will not get it. Avocados, almonds, pistachios, salmons, tunas, those omegas. Those things are integral to the lifeblood of our body, to the functioning of our body at a very, 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 very deep level. And as I began to superimpose more of these fats into my body, I started getting even better results. I started noticing my skin being more supple. I started noticing my fingernails being better. I started noticing my execution being more precise. But I didn't understand what I was doing. I was doing it just from the standpoint of trying to add in more calories, and it was an easy way of doing it, and it was a fat, and it's the fat that I can control, because what happens next? I'm at 4,600 calories, eating my food, getting my fats in. And then when I cut, I just cut out 1 tablespoon of fat. That's such an easy way of dieting down, because you've gotten your body used to so much burn, and then just drop out 1 tablespoon, which again, I'm saving 7 seconds. Easy, really, really easy, and very convenient too, when you're already choosing to be disciplined on all the other things you need to get done. When there's something that simple can make a big change, you're good. That being said, those same tablespoons of fat, what I've now learned since then, and as I begin to understand the processes, and as I share them with our members now, is think about the telephone wires and the signals that get sent, the calls that are being made. Think about how many, or even the broadbands that we use on our cell phones, even those wires aren't physically seen, there's still signals being transmitted. But let's stick with the telephone wires. Within that wiring, there is, matter of fact, here we go. Simple wire, boom. This wire is for the speaker over there. Now, this is our telephone wire. This is the signal from brain to whatever, right? This represents our nervous system. Now, within this, there's a bunch of other wires right here that actually do the work. Now, on the outside of this here, we have what is covering, this coating. On our body, on our nervous system, we have a coating called our myelin sheath. That myelin sheath is responsible for the coating and the keeping of the quality of the band of wiring. The question that I had to begin asking myself was, what did I eat in my diet for the regeneration of my nervous system? And unbeknownst to me, all of those fats are specifically speaking to the nervous system. And this is the kicker. And this is what I really began to understand as I began to watch my clients and watch my members and family, and just watch life in general as we age, and the things that kind of shifted in my own journey. And this is why I stand behind these principles so hard, is because those years of competing and me trying to learn how to get more food into my calories, more calories into my diet, they were rather transformative, because what I didn't realize I was doing at that time was I was speaking earnestly and specifically and intentionally to my nervous system. So as I was going through my process of regeneration and tearing down my body and getting better at my fat burning and getting better at my muscle building and getting better at regenerating and getting better at building that mind muscle connection, years of training, but years of doing this as well. Of course, we oftentimes are taught to eat for our muscles, getting X amount of grams of protein, getting these nutrients, your vitamin D's, X, Y, and Z, and getting your omega-3, getting your fish oils. What we just hear is in there. But I never did fish oils as a supplement, as a capsule form. I always preferred food. Since I was doing food, I didn't want to do pills, so therefore I did tablespoons of fat. And I'm a big proponent and big fan that liquid form does better than pill. That's just my gut feeling. I can't compare the studies on myself. but I am a fan of minimizing digestion variables, especially if I want to have a healthy metabolism. I focus on trying to minimize as many variables as possible, because the less variables I can have from a digestion standpoint, the more energy my body can give to tearing down that particular thing. So once I take it in pill form, there's now the capsule, there's now the cellulose, there's now the whatever that comes in making it the thing. My body has to break that thing down, and those are now variables my body has to do something with may not be as thermogenically responsible for my metabolism. But if I get it in liquid form, it's in. Boom. I believe it mixes with your stomach bile different. I believe it helps to coat different parts on the way down. There's parts even of your mouth and of the esophagus, all that is now being coated to a degree with these healthy fats as well. And just like you put lotion on your skin, I believe it does a different inner coating to the body as well. Why not? There's no downside outside of the taste being a little uncomfortable, because they don't always taste all that great. But it's not about that. It's about you weaponizing your food and learning how to use your food as medicine, because literally your food is medicine. That being said, this outer coating, myelin sheath. When we don't eat and don't get our regular amounts, or even the overly regular amounts of omegas in our diet, this part of our wiring disintegrates. And therefore we have patchwork along here. The wires used to be inside of there, but because the wiring is disintegrating, the signals aren't being sent properly. But think about how important that is. Everything we want our body to do starts off first as a thought and then as a signal. The signal must be sent. But the signal being sent is the first step along the way. If there's poor wiring, then regardless of the best intentions, the signal can only be sent but so well. And therefore, many of us have such patchy wiring within our body. Our body is sending the signal for regeneration or for healing or to manage his blood sugar or to get rid of this fat, whatever that thing may be. But because the wiring is so jacked up, think about if the wiring in your house was completely just awry. You trying to turn on switches and send signals, you're scared of things blowing out. But we don't realize, and this is what I didn't realize, one of my major issues, and one of the issues with aging in general is we as we get older, we get real lazy with our food. And because of the laziness and couple that with inactivity, we now have this perfect scenario where we're not getting the nutrients that we need, and we're not stimulating our body to hold a certain standard either. So therefore, your body just, if you don't use it, you lose it, basically. And the pathways, the roadways, same thing as the roadway that there's been no construction on it. There's been no potholes filled in. There's been no, who knows what. There's been no work done to maintain the quality of this pathway, because we're not eating for it. We're eating what we feel like eating. We're not eating what we need. And that simple tip is just one. Start out with just one. Whatever you want. One serving of healthy fats a day. Do it in the morning. You do it midday. You can do it at night. It doesn't really matter. If you want to split hairs and get particular about this and that, we can. But ultimately, it's about being consistent. The nervous system regenerates over a 90-day cycle. I look at everything in 90 days when it comes to the body. That's one thing competing taught me to do. I realized that early on, my issue was that I thought things should happen faster than they actually should, only because that's what the media told me. I didn't realize that in actuality, those who are actually playing the game at a high level, they all understood this process is slow. You have to do a lot for a little. But when you get good at doing a lot for a little, you learn how to win the game, because all big successes are a whole bunch of little things that build up over time. And eventually, the compounding of your efforts, the compounding of your nutrition, the compounding of years of putting in work begins to pay off. And people think it's something special that you're doing, and it's not. Well, it is. The thing that's special that's being done is that you're being consistently consistent. The issue in our fitness for many of us is that we are consistently inconsistent in doing the things we know we need to do. We'll be on for a day, then off for 3. On for 3 days, then off for 4. But we are inconsistently doing the things we need to do and want specific results on the back end, which doesn't make any sense when specific results come from specific action done in a very, very specific way. I hope that made sense. Anyway,